Prior to provincial politics, he began his political career at the municipal level. He was first elected as a Kingston alderman, and following these terms as councillor, was elected as mayor of the city of Kingston. He remains the longest-serving mayor in Kingston's history. He was first elected to the Ontario legislature in 1995 to represent Kingston and the Islands. He was appointed Attorney General on October 20, 2011, after serving as Minister of Consumer Services since August 2010. He previously served as Minister of the Environment from 2007 to 2010, Minister of Municipal Affairs, Housing from 2003 to 2007, and also as Minister responsible for seniors. Mr. Garrison was in Kingston with his wife Sunda, and they have 3 grown children, one of whom now serving as mayor.
Diplômé de l'Université Queen's, Mr. Garrison a été secrétaire à Kingston depuis 1971. Avant de faire de la politique provinciale, il a commencé sa carrière de politique au niveau municipal. Il a été élu en tant que conseiller municipal de Kingston et puis a été élu maire de la ville de Kingston. Il demeure la personne qui a été au poste de maire le plus longtemps dans l'histoire de Kingston. Il a été élu à l'Assemblée législative de l'Ontario en 1995 pour représenter Kingston et Mississippi. Il a été nommé procureur général le 20 octobre 2011, après avoir été ministre des services à la clientèle depuis août 2000. Il a auparavant été ministre de l'Environnement de 2007 à 2010, ministre des Affaires municipales et du Logement de 2003 à 2007, et aussi ministre responsable des années. M. Garrison vient à Kingston avec son épouse Assunta, et ils ont 3 enfants adultes, dont l'un qui est présentement marié.
Thank you very much, Colonel Saulnier, Colonel Coombs, reenactors of the 104th New Brunswick Regiment of Foot, members of the regular Canadian Forces, the Aboriginal Contingency, RMC cadets, honored guests, some ladies and gentlemen. Very, very pleased to be here today because we all know, in particularly this part of Eastern Ontario, how important a role the War of 1812 played in the history of Canada and the defense of this country. Now I know that names like Laura Secord, Sir Isaac Rock, and Chief Tecumseh are perhaps much better known names from that particular war. But today I would like to pay special tribute to the 554 men that marched from Fredericton, New Brunswick to Kingston, Ontario during those miserable conditions in 1812. From some of the historical accounts that have been written about in the voluminous newspaper media just this past week or so, in papers all across Eastern Ontario and I dare say all of Eastern Canada, we know that many of these men were frostbitten, poorly clothed, and hungry. And yet they stood up for the Queen and country and wanted to defend this country in whichever way they could. And so through the reenactors and all of those individuals that have taken part in the march over the last 6 weeks, I would say a very sincere thank you, congratulations, and thank you for making us aware of the historical significance of the War of 1812. I think that sometimes as we as Canadians don't take enough pride in the tremendous history and the tremendous figures during that history that made this country a country that all of us came to at one time or another, the country that all of us came to for a better way of life. And so, once again, the Government of Ontario, through its various financial initiatives to celebrate the accomplishments of the War of 1812, I want to say a very sincere thank you, particularly to the organizer not only of this event, but of initiating this event of the 104th New Brunswick Regiment of Foot march to Kingston in the first place. Congratulations to a job well done. I certainly hope that you will enjoy the festivities that will immediately follow these formal festivities, because you surely have deserved. Congratulations to one and all.
At this time, we invite Mr. Brian McDonald, Minister of the Legislative Assembly for Fredericton Silverwood and Chair of the War of 1812 Commemorative Committee, to address the parade. Mr. McDonald, College number 19874, is one of our very own, having graduated from the Royal Military College of Canada in Kingston in the year 1995. During his time at the college, he held the prestigious position of Cadet Wing Training Officer and received the following awards: the Departmental Prize in History during his first, second, and third year, the Edith Bolton Nordhamer Memorial Prize, and the Victor Van Smithson Rideout Memorial Award, given to the graduating cadet deemed to stand highest morally, intellectually, and physically at RMC.
Good afternoon. Seems my voice is failing me a bit today. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, naval officers, and ladies and gentlemen cadets of the Royal Military College of Canada. It's a real honor to return home here, this time as a proud representative of the government of New Brunswick, of the grateful people of New Brunswick. We are here today to acknowledge and celebrate this historic achievement, an achievement of our ancestors, the New Brunswick 104th Regiment of Foot. Celebrate their arrival here 200 years ago, and to commemorate the completion of their epic march from Fredericton. Now, why is this important? It's important because some 200 years ago, over 500 New Brunswickers banded together when times were tough, and they marched all the way here to fight for our Canada. That's significant. And I can imagine what it must have been like for them this day 200 years ago when they arrived here. I can only imagine the emotions they had. Struggling through the winter in New Brunswick and Lower Canada to come here out of Canada in spring, although you wouldn't know it for today's weather. They must have been very excited to finally reach here. And certainly from my own personal experience, I remember when I first came here, I remember the great sense of elation of reaching a place that I had thought so long about and worked so hard to get to. And how much deeper must have been their emotions when they arrived here 200 years ago. I could just imagine that as they arrived here, they still knew what was ahead, and that was the battles that were coming. I'm sure that they were at that time worried about their own abilities, worried about the skill and ferocity of the enemy, and worried about their families that were now so far away. And many New Brunswickers paid the ultimate price and sacrificed all here on the battlefields of Canada. So to the New Brunswick 104th Regiment, which is here today in spirit and represented on parade by a replica of the regimental color, to those fallen I say thank you. À nos anciens, au cours de vos campagnes lointaines, affrontant le froid et le feu, vous avez démontré la détermination du Nouveau-Brunswick. Vous avez aidé à construire du Canada, et vous avez établi une position solide pour le Nouveau-Brunswick dans notre pays. Vos fronts sont ceints de fleurons glorieux. Dormez en paix dans vos tombeaux. And today we're here also to celebrate a fine group that has worked together to make this commemoration happen, from all the way from Fredericton to Kingston. Today is more than just about New Brunswick's 104th Regiment. It is our shared story, all of us, our shared history, and the contributions that each part has made and to celebrate our shared history. In telling this story, it has brought us all together, and it was our unifying vehicle. It was our own little nation-building exercise. I particularly want to thank a few groups that helped. I've already mentioned Molly Denham and the St. John River Society, who's also supported today here by Anne Marie Hartley, her board. I want to thank La Fondation du Musée des Voltigeurs de Québec, and in particular, Eric Godbeau and Mike Shitnick, who are here with us today. I also want to thank all of the military units, the regiments, and also the legions, community organizations that made this happen all the way along from 3 provinces. It was an incredibly important shared effort. Of course, I want to thank your acting commandant for hosting us here at RMC. And in particular, I want to pay special attention to the work to organize these events here in Ontario by the St. Lawrence War of 1812 Bicentennial Alliance. And I've already mentioned Alicia Wallace and Michael Burke, but they deserve special recognition for pulling this together. So now, some of you may just be joining us for the first time. Some of you have been involved as friends and colleagues through this process. But even if you're just joining us here today for the first time, I want you to go away and be proud. Be proud of our history, be proud of our ancestors, and be proud of the part that you played here today in commemorating this important part of our history. And I exhort you, keep doing it. We have a lot of occasions to celebrate our history, in particular, our military history coming up. Be it World War I, be it Vineyard Ridge, be it World War II, be it Confederation, or other occasions. We need to keep doing this. We all need to understand, communicate, and celebrate our shared history. So on behalf of the people of New Brunswick, I thank you, TDB,